Hello researchers, and welcome to a video walkthrough of how to find a mixed methods study in Google Scholar. I'm showing you how to locate mixed methods studies, particularly in Google Scholar, because this is the search engine I use most often. I generally don't use the Georgia Southern Library search engine because I find that it gives me a lot of irrelevant resources, whereas Google Scholar usually is pretty good about giving me relevant publications, journal articles, books, book chapters, that kind of thing. Google Scholar also, like other search engines, gives me features like saving to my library, pulling the reference information for a citation. I can even look at the articles or sources that have cited the item that I'm looking at, and I can pull up all versions of the document in case, for example, one of the PDFs doesn't work or is missing pages or something like that. So what you should see now is what Google Scholar looks like. It's simply scholar.google.com, and you're going to want to search for something that's particular to you. For the purpose of the video, I'm going to use this search here, queer theory and mixed methods. You notice that I put quotes around the key terms that I'm especially looking for. I've been recently searching for articles that use mixed methods and queer theory, so we're going to pull in on this example. I like to put mixed methods in quotes because without it, sometimes the search engines will pull mixed and separate it from methods, which means you might get things talking about mixing of other things, not methods. So generally, this is what the search is going to look like. It's going to give me links, whether it's to the book, possibly to a PDF of a journal article. It's going to allow me to save things. You can see I've already saved some of these items. Possibly I own the book or I have a copy of the article. I can grab what might be a correct version of the APA citation. I find these are usually inaccurate these days, so I usually export a bib text file and put it into Zotero, which is what I use for my reference managing. And you can see all the things that a particular item has been cited for, and I can look for the versions that I mentioned before. Now I want us to look for some mixed methods studies, and I'm actually going to change the search range to look for since 2015. So I want to look for pretty recent articles that have used mixed methods and queer theory. So it's going to pull up all of these different studies. What do I do to find the ones that are mixed methods? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is skim the title of the piece and skim the snapshot, whether sometimes it might be like a reference page or a table of contents. It might be snippets from the article or text of the piece itself. It might come even from the abstract. So I use those to kind of quickly skim what is there listed. And if I find one I like, I'm going to open up either here or the PDF link here. Now I'm going to take us to some specific examples to talk through some things that you might likely find when you're searching for mixed methods articles on your own. Okay, so I'm going to check this first one here. Using zines to teach about gender minority experiences and mixed methods research. I don't see a link here, a PDF link, so I'm just going to click on the title. It already is set in my user settings for Google Scholar to open it as a new tab automatically. Now it's going to take me directly to the article listing itself, and I'm actually going to need to open up the preview here to try to get a sense of is this a mixed methods article. What I notice immediately is that there's no abstract, so I can't really pull from the abstract. And I'm seeing that this really just looks like an introduction. So I can't tell if they're actually doing mixed methods research in this article or if they're talking about even teaching mixed methods. I don't know what's happening. So in this particular example, what I'd need to do is either email the author themselves to ask for a copy of this article, since I don't clearly have a quick access to the PDF. I could try and search for this journal in the Georgia Southern search engine. That's how I generally use that. And if I don't find it, I might put in an interlibrary loan. The fastest way, though, I've found to get a journal article is to just directly email the author themselves. So this one, it says mixed methods in the title, but we don't know enough. We can't find any information really to help us assess that. So this might be a real example of something that you'll see in your own search. Now I want to check out another potential thing that you might see. So this one here shows me, yes, I have a PDF. Okay, that's great. I see mixed methods is here in the title. Great. I even see my particular search term here. This is super good. This must be an example of a mixed methods study, right? Well, I clicked on the link and it's opened up now a nearly 500-page edited volume about transforming research methods in the social sciences, specifically in South Africa. So clearly it's given me something that's way more than what I need. So what I'm going to do is search the PDF for the phrase mixed methods. When I search this, apologies, it should have taken me directly to the chapter. Okay, so it's seeing this chapter, chapter 19, is the one that's transformative mixed methods research in South Africa. That is the one I wanted to look for, and thankfully they have tags on the PDF, so I could just jump right here. Now I can see, okay, mixed methods is here several times. This is great. This is exactly what I want to make sure to find. So now I kind of quickly skim through the article. I see they have a whole section here talking about mixed methods and a paradigm called transformative. I'm skimming. Look, they're talking about critiques of this approach. Okay, I'm nearly halfway through the chapter, and now it's starting to talk about design considerations, but I'm not seeing anything specific to a study. They have sections like research questions, study design, ethics, concluding remarks. Okay, they're clearly not talking about a specific mixed methods study. It looks like this is in fact a book chapter talking about how to use this type of mixed methods. This is a methodological reading. This would be super helpful for me if I wanted to learn more about transformative mixed methods, especially in South Africa, but that's not what I'm looking for now. I'm trying to find a study that used mixed methods, an empirical study that used mixed methods. I could potentially find a methodological article that uses an empirical example inside the article. That would still be fine, but what I have here is not going to work for this search. So I need to go back to my search again. I'm going to jump to page 5 to show you another example of something that might come up. So I want to take a look at this particular article here, and I need to go to the PDF. So I'm going to search again for mixed methods. And it does tell me, okay, the study used an interdisciplinary mixed methods approach. Yes, okay, it's clearly going to be an article about mixed methods. I can see they're using my other search term here, so it seems like it's relevant. Now what do? I skim now the methods. Really, at this point, I just kind of look over to see what kinds of general things are they talking about. They're talking about the data collection. I see something is listed here, so I'm going to read this right here. Okay, it says hypotheses. I know hypotheses are based in quantitative research, not qualitative research. So that's already a flag for me. I see data collection. They're mentioning a survey several times. I see participant recruitment. I see they're talking about how they asked people for certain things. They're using a scale. These are quantitative In Nature here, I'm seeing multiple choice questions, again, quantitative. Okay, now I'm already at data analysis. They're talking about using R, which is great for quantitative data. I can see they have quantitative visualizations here, and we're already at the results and discussion. I didn't see anything about qualitative research or another form of research. So I might think, hang on, did I just miss it? Right? Because I was just quickly skimming. So I might go back up to here when they were talking about the mixed methods. This is where I'm like, okay, it's strange because they clearly said mixed methods. And now that I'm looking at it again, they're clearly using some mixed methods people. So what's going on here? Where's the rest of it? So this is where I read it a little bit closer to try to understand what's going on. If you jump down to here, you're going to see that they talk about how they did use a mixed methods study, but this article is focusing on the reporting from the survey element of their study. So their study overall was mixed methods, but this article is just about the quantitative element. That's not what we're looking for here. I really want to see a study that has both strands, both the quantitative and the qualitative. So this is not going to be a good mixed methods article for me. So now I need to move on to a different example. This next example is another study that does say very clearly here in the title, it is a mixed methods study. I'm like, okay, great. Let me just look for mixed methods here, or even just mixed. Okay, it's clearly in the title. They clearly used mixed methods. I'm seeing in their abstract they mention both qualitative and quantitative data. So let's see if this is in fact a mixed methods study. I'm going to actually zoom out a little bit here. Now I'm going to help it to kind of jump down to the methods. Let me just close this out here. I'm going to scroll down to try to grab the methods. Okay, so we see current study. They're providing usually some kind of context to what the study is about. And then, this is a red flag. They say study 1, qualitative analysis. Okay, so it's clearly the first study is the qualitative study. I can see they have some information here about who was in the qualitative study, how they analyzed the data. They're discussing their themes, scrolling, because I know this part is quite long. Study 2, quantitative analysis. Now, if you remember from our previous weeks, a really important feature of mixed methods is that you're in fact mixing your approaches in a single what? A single study. This is an article that's reporting 2 different studies, which they very clearly label as study 1 and study 2. And then I think, okay, so maybe they just report those separately, but then they combine them later in their results. In fact, if we scroll down to their discussion, where they might integrate the findings somehow, what do? They're again going to study 1 and study 2. This is not a mixed methods article. This is reporting multiple studies in a single article. This is more likely to be an example of multi-methods, not mixed methods. Now let's take a look at some actual examples of mixed methods studies that you might see. So I want to go back to my page 2 search engine findings here. And I want to take a look at this article here. So I'm going to do the same strategy. I'm looking for mixed methods. You'll see here in their abstract, they've clearly identified mixed methods, although with a hyphen. They use it as their keyword. So I'm scooting down now to their research methods. Here they're describing their mixed methods approach. So I'm looking for, do they mix? Does one approach inform the next or not? When I look at this quickly, one thing that stands out is that their research discussion has no citation, almost no citations. We have, a qualitative one here, but I don't see anything about mixed methods. So that could be something I could critique them on, but it doesn't mean that it is or is not mixed methods. But what I would do is I would look through and try to see what did they collect and why did they collect it. And you're going to see some of that right here. So they collected anonymous online survey responses as well as in-depth interviews. And you can see by this phrasing here, they collected the in-depth interviews or both approaches for this purpose, a more nuanced understanding of the phenomenon. I don't even really need to know about the phenomenon to see from their phrasing a more nuanced and that it's possible through the use than would have been possible through the use of one methodology alone. So clearly they have a mixed methods rationale here. So even though they don't cite mixed methods literature, they do appear to have a mixed methods thinking. They know that combining them shows us that it provides us with more interpretation of what's going on. And if we scroll down here to the key findings, you can also see that they're interspersing qualitative and quantitative findings within each theme. This is what we call integrated findings. We can take a look also at another example that does something very similar here. This particular study has a similar approach. I'm going to again look for the mixed methods. It's clearly mixed methods, at least they identify it that way in the methods section of their article or the abstract. They're talking about how they're doing a mixed methods study here. They describe their survey. Surveys are typically quantitative in nature, but they did also conduct interviews, and their results are going to be presented in an integrated fashion. They have this general category of good general health, and they're reporting both qualitative and quantitative findings within this approach. I might also read their methods a little bit closer to see did they select the interviewees from those who participated in the survey. That would be another approach to integration, something that's stronger than just integrating in the findings. So that concludes the very quick walkthrough tour of how I use Google Scholar to find mixed methods articles. I've showed you how I've used search terms, like putting quotation marks around the phrase mixed methods. And I've shown you the different types of scenarios that might come up for you in finding an article that seems to say mixed methods, but maybe isn't mixed methods. So we found some that were methodological, where they are talking about the approach, but don't use an empirical study. We saw some that said mixed methods, but there was no mixing, and they even, one example where they reported it as study 1 and study 2 that used two different approaches. And then we talked about how by looking through the methods and looking through how they describe their findings, that can help us determine, are they integrating them at all? Are they comparing and contrasting in the findings or results section? Or in the methods, are they talking about how one informs the other, or how they comparatively analyzed the two approaches?